everyone. Welcome to Breakthrough Conversations. My name is Danielle Perry and I am the host. As always, I'm so excited that you are back for another episode of this podcast. And if this is your first time, this is a Christian podcast which features people of all ages, and they share a bit of their story about how God has helped them to overcome a difficult challenge, situation, or season in their lives, or maybe they're on their way to overcoming with God's help. And they do share authentically. Well, if you're back, then you know that this is the third episode in the marriage series, and it's part 2 of episode 30, and it's titled The Importance of Communication in Marriage, and it features dear friends of mine, Kwesi and Nicole Payne. If you have not seen part 1, go ahead and check it out, y'all. In the meantime, here it is, part 2. I want you to enjoy and be blessed. Before your breakthrough, how were your children affected, if at all? Were there things that, you noticed, if we don't get this together, like our children can be affected? Or did you even notice things in them at that time where you were like, this is because we're not on the same page? Talk about that.
Whenever we would hit this challenge around communication between the two of us, I would always notice that because it hurt me, I always in some way ended up being short with the boys. Coming out at them unintentionally, but reflecting my pain on them because I was feeling pain from him, from Kwesi. And so I always saw how it went from here to here to here, from here to here to here. And that would always check me, because regardless of how I was feeling between Kwesi and myself, they had nothing to do with that. They didn't cause any of that. And they didn't deserve me treating them like that. So it put an onus on me to still love my children correctly, even though I was hurting. But it was hard.
I can imagine.
For me, to be honest with you, it's like hate that phrase, so deep down the rabbit hole, it's where I shut everything else so far out that I wouldn't even notice. I wouldn't have even noticed, or I didn't notice how it was, because my mindset is I'm still daddy, so when I talk, you move. I'm still mommy, so when she talk, you better move, or else you're gonna have to eventually deal with daddy. But and just not even taking the time to recognize that, okay, I don't even recognize if there was a difference in the responses from the boys. So again, it goes back to, like Nicole said, if we don't know how we're hurting, it's real hard to tell how other people are being impacted.
That's so true.
That's good.
That's so true.
That's true.
Now, did you notice a difference in him during that time when it came to the children? Because he said he couldn't really see it, but did you see anything that was different?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. I do remember a time, around another time of breakthrough, where Asa, our older son, who was almost 12, said something to me after the fact. Maybe to both of us, but this was at a point where the pandemic had started, and like nobody went to the barbershop, and Kwesi was growing his hair out, and I did not like what it was looking like. At some point, I shared with Kwesi that I was like, "You gonna get your hair cut?" And he refused, and we had a conversation one late night at home in the front room of the house. The boys had been sent up to bed, but Kwesi and I were sitting and talking on the couch. And I was just, at this point, I was like, look, I don't like it. Why are you being so stubborn about this? And I can't remember exactly what Kwesi said, but the bottom line here is that Asa heard it. And he at some point he came later and said, You talking about that night that you were talking to Daddy about how you didn't like his hair and how you wanted to cut his hair? And he was like, I don't remember exactly what Asa said, but what he expressed, it sounded to me as if whatever we were talking about and however we sounded, he wasn't sure that everything was going to be okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. So, Quasi, I kind of want you to hit on a little bit about the internalizing of things and where does that come from? Where is that something that you just kind of in your childhood was taught to do, something that you kind of learned to do over time? Where did that come from?
Um, when you understand, or when I understand who I am, and like I've never been too much of an expressive person. You know, have fun, play around, laugh, games. But at the end of the day, when I leave, I try to make sure I don't leave too much of me out there, if that makes sense. You know? And so because of that, that's one level of it. Because it starts with it's I read a quote one time. It says, "The friend with your ear becomes the enemy with your news."
Okay, the friend of your ear.
The friend with your ear becomes the enemy with your news.
Okay.
So in other words, if you keep sharing everything that's super close to you to somebody, when you and that person no longer close, now they have all the news, they have all the tea
Got you.
to share. So I've learned the importance of knowing to hold yourself close so that there isn't too much out there to get spread out. The other aspect of it comes from understanding the importance of protecting people. Because sometimes oversharing hurts people that you don't intend for it to hurt. That's where that mentality comes from. Like, I could say this right now. Like, you said something, and I could say this right now. And I know, like, I've already analyzed and processed. When I say this is how it's going to hit you. This is what it's going to do to you. And now I have to make the decision. Do I really want to hit you that hard? So instead of saying it, I'm going to keep this to myself to protect you from me. You know? And as you go through, or as I've gone through life, doing those two things, keeping myself, making sure that when I leave with all of me, and keeping myself in check so that what I say doesn't leave you in pieces. As you go through life perfecting that craft, you eventually find yourself I found myself being more comfortable being inside of me. You know what I mean? That's where that comes from.
Okay. I was thinking about myself as you were talking because some of the things that you said, I've realized that I've done throughout my life as well. For me, though, when I sit and kind of internalize too much, I can implode. Whereas I know you said you could explode. For me, I can implode.
No, but this is the thing. I don't do it. It's not about internalize. You know, a lot of people, you internalize, and then eventually you just can't hold it. No, it's not that. What I'm saying is, I'll internalize it. Because if I respond the other way, it's going to be an explosion where what I say can be hurtful or offensive or whatever the case. So it's literally like you ever seen, I'm trying to think of a movie where it's happened. It's kind of like on Black Panther, you know, when he has on his Black Panther suit and how, like, if there, I think there was a scene, it probably was in the first Black Panther, or one of them, he jumps on a bomb and it explodes under him. It's kind of like that. So if I just leave this, if I were to put my response out there, everything in a one room radius or in a conversation radius of this thing that I put out there is going to get destroyed. So I'm gonna jump on it instead, and I'm gonna hold it in. That's what. But I get where people who internalize have the capacity or have the likelihood of now at one point in time you're just gonna find yourself in a room and everything just breaks down. I get that. But I think for me, when I've gone beyond that, I've kind of gone beyond that, where I don't worry about having that breakdown because I've never had it.
Okay.
Because I find some other way. So I internalize it here, but I find some way to get rid of it. Like, apparently I have no more movies than I thought. Green Mile. Ever seen it?
It's been a minute.
Okay. But if we think about John Coffey on Green Mile, when he healed something, he took on whatever it was, right? And then eventually, when some time later on, he'd get to himself, and then all them little things would come out his mouth. That's kind of how I process it. I'd hold it in, or I'd keep it in or take it in from everybody around me. But I'm going to find somewhere else to let this out. Now, letting that out somewhere else, it might be an explosion on somebody else. But that person I don't really care for.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So, for example, let me give an example going all the way back to probably my sophomore year in college, maybe my sophomore, maybe junior year. I was going to school, I was going to church, praying, trying to be a good Christian. What I thought was a good Christian. You know, I'm reading my Bible, I'm praying every day so I can grow. And
The song.
right. And, you know, one day I go to play basketball. The only thing I wasn't doing at that time, I wasn't going to church. I didn't have a church to go to. But I would deal with other things, like my roommate might say some, say something little out of pocket. I wouldn't say anything to him because that's my roommate, so I got to know how to cohabitate here for a year. Somebody else might say something, or the professor might say something in class, or somebody else might say something. And then one day I went to play basketball. And this one random guy who had absolutely, I didn't know him. He just happened to be there for open gym too. He might have lived in I know for a fact he didn't live in the dorm I lived in. And he said something crazy. So everything that I held in, he got it. So sometimes that internalizing is I protect those I care about. Somebody else might get it.
Which is not good.
Which is not good. But
now, so even though you're saying that you'll find a way for it to eventually come out, and for the people that you care about, or the people who just may say slick things out of their mouths or whatever, and you know that your response may be something that can completely change the whole just trajectory of everything, right? Do you eventually communicate at some point with them?
It's an eventual communication, yes.
Okay.
But it all depends on how long that takes. You see what I'm saying? So if every time there was an interaction where I needed to now, so let's say I might be ready to communicate, hey, this is where I was last week, but then something else happens to trigger more internalization. Now it gets pushed back another day, and another day, and another day. So sometimes it could be, hey, last week I was just going through some things. It was, and when you said XYZ, but that happens now. So now that response is more immediate. Like Nicole said, we communicate now. So now I
Right.
could say like, hey, you know what you said 2 minutes ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
This, that, and that.
Got you.
Whereas the exact same thing 12 years ago in marriage, probably hear about it in September. Hey, you know, in June, June 3rd at 6 a.m. when you said this, or when I
Yep.
asked you this and you said that.
Yep.
And most of the time, Nicole be like, I
What
said
you talking
that?
about?
What?
I said that?
You
Yep.
just say bringing that to me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can relate to that because
So,
that's
yeah.
something that I'm still working on, but I know that I've improved over the years in my marriage with Jared because he'll be like, sweetheart, why didn't you tell me this back when it happened? Well, because, and then I will have my whole, whatever. So I can definitely, I see where you're coming from with that. So now that you guys have had that breakthrough, how have things changed in your marriage?
I cook with more meat. Or fish.
Come on.
Fish and
Yeah, she's
Beyond
never-
Meat.
Yeah, right.
Fish and
Soy
beyond.
based, plant based.
Huh? more, less sides and sauces.
Right. I'm enjoying it. And to me, it's just again that breakthrough conversation point in the car that we had that morning. Now I have a consistent. He's willing now, and I can see it. What you laughing
I'm laughing because I'm thinking of the result of that conversation. When I said, wait, so what happened?
Oh, Mister. Because he tried therapy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a crash and burn.
Yeah.
But it gave me something to always think back and laugh at.
Yeah. But to me, yeah, it's that yes, he loves you and he is willing to grow out of the rabbit hole mentality. And that has opened up sex for us, which we struggled in for years.
True. Because of lack of communication.
Yeah. And then too, I needed to do some work as well in therapy about some things from my childhood that were triggered and connected to trauma for me. And that hindered me sexually in our relationship. So that coupled with this recent breakthrough has really blessed our sexual relationship, our intimate relationship.
But
Go ahead.
you
I
ain't hit the back of my
slapped your
head. What you
head.
think this is? Boop. But one of the things I think, and you just said it, Nick. So often, as a husband, I would feel like, what do you mean? Do I love you? Like, look at, and I can in my head, I would go through this checklist of, I did this, I did that, I do this, I do that. I allow you to do this, I let you do that. I did that. I don't complain about this. I don't complain about that. I do this instead. I pick up the gap here. Me. Me. Look at what? Look at what? And so many times in marriage, we can always see what we do and not see where the shortcoming is, because what we do is not what the person needs. Like we don't,
And you
we
think
don't,
you- but you think you handling
but
it.
you think you
Think
killing
you
the
handling
game.
it, yes.
And some of those things are, aren't you supposed to do that?
But
as
beyond
a
the
husband and
supposed to,
wife?
but and
Like
again,
that's what you're saying. We're thinking.
Well, I'm
No,
just
in
saying,
general.
like, sometimes when we're pointing out, well, I do this. Well, as a wife or as a husband,
who's supposed to
you're
do it
supposed
then?
to do that. You know what I mean? But you're counting those things that technically you're supposed to do.
So, again, a lot of times, yes, we're doing all these different things, and we can go through the checklist, and it's beyond just the fact of. It's beyond the fact of, well, I'm the husband, I'm supposed to, I'm the wife, I'm supposed to. There are times where, in your head, you're thinking about, well, as a husband or as a wife, look at where you fell short, and I picked up the slack. What do you mean I don't love you? Look at this decision you wanted to make and how it could have impacted the house. And I said, and after we talked, we said, okay. But that's not the thing needed. And a lot of times we think that what we give, just because we're giving and we're giving and we're giving and we're giving, might not be the thing that that person needs to know that they're loved. And when we don't understand that, we set ourselves up. Because the husband or the wife has to still say, well, I'm just asking you to do this for me because you love me. And so the response shouldn't be, well, how much more I have to do to prove?
Yeah.
Like, the response should never be that. Well, how much more I have to do to prove that I love you? What do you mean?
It's almost like a slap in the face. It's almost like, why are you going down your checklist of things that you do for me? Like, what I'm presenting to you has nothing to do with
Any of the other
any
things.
of those things.
But here's the thing. Oftentimes, the checklist is never presented. I can say for me, the checklist was never presented. Like,
Never communicate.
never communicated. Like, it was never, oh, well, you wanted to resign and that we agreed to so that I could impact the house. You didn't cook, so I could, and you didn't, and I could, and you didn't, and I did. Or I wanted and you didn't, so I was okay, and it was never presented. And oftentimes it never really is. It's just internally you're like, and so now I have to do one more thing to show you that I love you. Fool, yes. Like, the answer should always be yes. Like, if marriage, because marriage is a godly institution, it's ordained by God, and the Bible says that marriage reflects Christ and the church. Until we give our life, until we've actually died to show the level of love, yes, you have to do one more thing.
And communicating will, I think, sometimes help make that less.
Not always.
Well, that's why I said sometimes.
Well, that's why I said not always.
Sometimes will help make that less of a trial by fire situation, because you are able to say, this is what I appreciated, this is what I didn't appreciate, this is what it seems like I need, this is what it seems like I don't need. And that continues to come from you understanding you.
It's got to start
When you
with
don't
you
understand
understanding you.
you can't communicate you to anybody else.
Very true.
But even when you understand you got to also understand the flaws that you have.
Yep.
And you can't think,
All
well, that's
of
just
you.
me.
Yeah, all of you. You have to stand.
You can't just be like, well, that's just how I do it.
Strengths and your weaknesses.
You know,
which
because how you do it in 1998 ain't going to work in 2023.
It's really a selfish response too. That's just how I do it. Well, how you do it needs to change.
If that's how we going to do it.
If that's how we're going to do it, exactly.
Because the other option is you can go back to you doing it.
But that's
by you.
But that also points back to what you were saying, that it's important to not hold on to stuff, because then you cannot change for the better. You have to keep moving. You have to keep, because still water stinks. Right?
Very true.
Still water stinks. So when
But it runs deep. That's the song.
And that's even worse, when it stinks and run deep. But when we learn that just as life keeps moving, we have to keep moving, but we have to do it in a healthful way. We have to not avoid, not run from negative feelings, negative situations, so to speak. We have to process through those things. We cannot let them sit. Right? Even if somebody screams on you and you don't scream back on them, that's not what I'm talking about, handling and processing like that. I'm talking about somebody screams on you you are honest about the fact that pisses you off, that you want to go and scream back on them or do whatever, right? Don't hold on to that and let it dig that rabbit hole in you, because you're going to become that stanky, still water.
Very true.
Stanky.
Yeah.
Very true.
Stanky.
Very true.
Say it one more time.
Stanky.
So, anything new from that breakthrough? Was there anything new that you learned about God? Did you see God in a different light at all?
That he's trustworthy. Because to me, maybe not to Quasi, but when I tried to stop talking so much to him and started praying to God about it, I already knew that God knew. I already knew that God had seen. I had seen God do so many things, great things for us over the years and in us. But I presented it to God like this: "Hey, God, Quasi is a tough cookie to crack, a tough nut to crack. Only you can crack them. So help me see, help me see what to do, what not to do."
I want to know what God said when you
If
tell
you-
God I was a tough cookie to crack, not to crack now.
If you have to make us uncomfortable, do it. So that, like, we were talking to our godson yesterday, and he's so smart, and he was talking about the oil reserves in the land, and if they all dry up, then we going to be forced to figure something else out. You know what I mean? That was like my posture to God. Like, God, if you have to make us uncomfortable so that you can move us out of ourselves, out of this situation, then do it. Please don't let nobody die. Please don't let our kids get sick. That was like an
Let me throw that in
afterthought.
there.
Like, Lord, not to our detriment, please, but to the detriment of the unhealthy habits that we have. Then do that. And I started to see, then we started having a car issue with the truck. And, we were down to one car. We had to spend more time together. And these different things like that were coming up. I was like, God, is that you making us uncomfortable? Is that you making us uncomfortable? But yeah, that he's trustworthy. And he's trustworthy with the raw footage, y'all. I don't know about other believers, but I have felt that at some points in my spiritual journey, that I need to come to God a little bit together, not completely together, but a little bit together. And this prayer needs to sound like this, and it needs to be polished like this, and it needs to sound like the preacher said it. And God can handle the raw footage. Yep. I want to break his neck, God. Help me. What I'm supposed to be thinking about. Show me in your word what I need to be rehearsing.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So he is trustworthy with it all. That's what I've seen more about God.
I still want to know what God said when he said I'm a tough nut. Anyway, I learned God is patient. Definitely. Because he has to be with us. If he has to be.
Thank you, God.
Because when we talk about Galatians 5 and we start talking about the gifts of the fruit the gift of the Spirit is. Or
the fruit of
the Spirit is love. I'm saved, y'all. I really am. But patience is listed. There are all these other attributes. But it really helped me to lock in on patience because, like I said, we're coming up on 17 years of marriage. And all these things manifested in different ways. We weren't, early in our marriage, we weren't on the same page regarding sex, regarding time management, regarding this, regarding that, God is patient. Yeah. I can almost see God laughing in heaven like, yeah, they see 2023 or they see 2006 going into 7, going into 8. Eventually they'll get to 2023. But God is sitting back watching 1980, 2006, 2023, 2043. God is watching all of it, all at the same time.
All at the same time.
And he's like, all right, I'm going to just wait.
It does require patience.
I'm going to just
you can
wait.
see it all, and you see what they see now.
Yeah, it's almost like God will be like, just be patient. Just be patient. If you all just be a little patient, y'all will walk right into. If you all be patient and keep trusting me, y'all will walk right into 2023.
Yep.
And it's almost like the 16 plus years where y'all were tussling and it was a power struggle and this. It's almost like when you hit that one point,
When you hit it.
right here, it don't matter. It's like I told one of the students at my school, winning solves everything. He was on the basketball team and he was complaining and this and but the coach and this and that. This was his first year playing for this coach. But I knew the coach from years back, and this was the coach had been out of coaching for some years or whatever, and then he came back, and his philosophy never changed, and he was trying to teach them this. This is how our style of ball is gonna be. But you know, teenagers know everything, especially about things they know nothing about. So, you know, first few games, I think they lost like the first 5 games in a row. So, you know, high school boys, they next up and coming. Oh, yeah, and coach did this and this. I told them, just keep working. Just keep patient. Just be patient. Just keep working. The next thing you know, they won 10 straight. So they lost the first 5 and won the next 10. I was like, how's basketball? Oh, it's good. You know what I mean? We did. So winning solves everything.
Yeah.
He didn't even remember you started the season losing the first 5. All you remember was you won the last 10. And I want to say that season they finished 15-5. It somewhere close to that. They might have only lost one more game that whole season. And I think about it like that with God. God is sitting back and he's already seen the final record. And he saw the point right when the whole season turned.
Yeah.
And all we're seeing right now is this first quarter of the game where we're down 10.
Yep.
We're struggling and we think we know how we can fix it.
Yep.
So we go back to bad habits, or we do whatever. And God is like, as soon as they get there, just wait. It's almost like he's telling everybody else, just wait.
Yep.
Watch what happens when they hit that point.
That's good. And I think, Nick, do you remember a conversation we had after that breakthrough? And you were saying, it's like everything before this, you were pretty much saying what Kwesi just said. Do you remember that? I think it's kind of also how they say, like a pregnant woman, like she has that whole 9 months and then she has the contractions, the labor, the painful labor. But once the baby comes, it's like you forget all of that, you know? So I love how God makes it that way. Because
They love it now.
Right. Right.
I don't know anybody that loves it in the process.
Yeah, in the process, no.
Heck no. You'd be crazy to say, oh, I love it. I love this
It's
trial.
always the hardest in the
Give me the trial,
No.
Jesus. Man, you different.
Yeah.
It's always the hardest in the middle of it.
Man, yeah. And I think there's a scripture.
That talks just about that. A woman that travails. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
a
I told
scripture
you what I'm
about
saying.
that.
But no, for real, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like I never forget. We were planning for the wedding. And one of my relatives called and asked about the wedding and what I was going to be wearing for the wedding. What the men were wearing for the wedding. And I told them I was like, what? That sounds too plain. I'm not doing all of that. And I was like, you don't have to come.
This was a person who's not even in the wedding?
Yeah, they're not in the wedding.
I guess they were trying to match. I know some people try to match to the colors of the wedding.
Yeah, but
dang.
it wasn't even about the
Ain't
color.
about you.
It was literally about what the type of clothing, the style of dress.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, this is what we're doing. We're gonna wear linen, and it's a summer wedding. I ain't gonna be up there sweating, looking crazy. What? Nah, that. I was like, you gotta come. You gotta come. That same person. Oh, you look at the wedding, at the reception. Y'all look so nice up there. Thank you. Because when we get past what we think we know about a situation, the end result is going to be, like, yeah, you might not agree. You might not like the way it feels. But when you get past you and really say, I'm following Christ, I'm trusting God with this. When I get to where I'm going, I'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
right. Nice.
That's good. That's good.
And if I can insert really quickly.
Go
before
ahead,
we move
insert.
on, when we hear or say the phrase "get past," for me, most recently, that has started to look and sound. It has an air of insensitivity. What I mean by that is, I have had to. This is to me. So I have had to learn, and maybe somebody else, which is why I'm probably saying this. But I have had to learn how to. Not necessarily, because when I say get past something, right? If you're in my way and I'm trying to pass you, I'm like, all right, move, like just get out of the way, right? But I'm not really dealing with you. I'm just pushing you out of the way.
You're not pushing.
My bad.
It's rude.
What I have to see it now is the get past. What people mean is to honor God above. Which means that whole thing, myself, what I'm feeling, what I'm going through, I'm not just going to push that out of the way. No, I'm going to deal with that. I'm going to take that to God and have Him help me deal with that. So when I hear push past, get past, no, that doesn't mean ignore and just push it out of the way. No, that means carry that to the Lord.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
You're so smart.
And be okay with the process because it may not. Sometimes we think, okay, God, you're going to help me deal with this and it's going to happen overnight, when in actuality it may be a process.
Yep.
It may take a little longer.
And I can't stand people that lie and act like their process was overnight. Man, listen. Oh,
I know.
listen.
I know.
Christians, I love Christians. I can't stand Christians. I do. I'm sorry. I love them. I love them. Wish the whole world was full of them. But I can't stand them. Because when they have their process, they want you to be as patient as the Lord.
As the Lord.
They want you to be as patient as God. Give me 70 times 7, forgive me. But let me have an issue.
True.
Let me have a process. I gotta dip in this holy water, get this one prayer, and walk right out of it.
True.
Where they do that at?
Yep. That's true.
Like your marriage ain't your marriage never had rough times. Your marriage never had separations. Your marriage never had rough roads. But you look at me crazy when I say mine does, or did, or is. What?
Yeah.
Like, why we do that?
Yeah.
I don't know why we do that.
That's true.
Why we do that? Why we do that?
Some of it is pride.
I wasn't asking for an answer, but pride is true. Pride.
I'm very literal.
Yes, you are. It is pride, but I think another part of it is, again, it's so easy to see everybody else's faults. Or it's so easy to focus on what everybody else has to fix.
For sure.
That's true.
But you don't see that, your marriage could do some work too.
We're quick to, like the Bible says, get the speck out of their eye when we got a whole log in ours.
Busting everybody in the head when you turn around.
Yep. True.
You know,
True. So we are wrapping up. I do want you guys to share, what do you love most about marriage? And what do you love most about each other?
that's good right there, because it's not all breakthroughs. You heard me? Not every conversation got to be broken through. Some conversations just flow.
For sure.
You know, what I love most about marriage is, again, not in it, but it makes you better. When you work at it, it should make you gotta become better. If you want your marriage to last, you have to become better. You know, yes, you're gonna change, but you're always changing for better, because the person that you're married to made the commitment to help you get better. I know the vows is in sickness or in health, for richer or poor, which always trip me up. We talk about sickness or health, but then we put richer or poorer. I think we need to recognize that we should be always going from, like, if your marriage is what your marriage is, what God intends a marriage to be, your marriage should always climb.
Yeah.
Even when you go down, your marriage should be climbing. Because you should go from sick to health. If you come into a marriage overweight, you shouldn't end, the marriage shouldn't end with you being overweight.
Wow.
If you out of shape, it shouldn't end in being out of
You
shape.
just
Like,
made somebody mad with that statement. But that's good.
you know,
Yeah.
if you come into a marriage thinking about God one way, you should at least have a different perspective of the Bible. Because if not, you purpose to never change. Like, it's, you walked into that saying, I don't care what they say, I don't care what they do. You know, I'm the husband, they better submit. She better submit. I ain't changing nothing. She better do all the changing.
Yeah.
Well, she might leave that marriage better than you. And the goal of marriage should be to get better. So I enjoy that aspect of marriage. Again, not during, not in the process,
Right.
but I understand that. I'm understanding more and more that as we walk through this thing, 2023 Kwesi should be so much better
So
than
much better.
2007 Kwesi.
That's right. That's right.
So that's what I love about marriage.
And what do you love about Nikki?
I mean, look at her. She's so pretty. And she's smart. She go and challenge you. I've admired that. Again, the first time I met her, the first thing she said was, where you go to church?
When you go to church.
Like, what? What? You don't know me? Come on, well, I don't. How about that? I don't go to church. No, but she's always gonna challenge you. And it's a challenging from the standpoint of, I'm gonna push you back to God. Sometimes we've had conversations about, like, hey, like, yeah, you always speak the truth, but you don't always speak the truth in love. So you need to hey, calm down with that.
You're real harsh with it. I can't receive it if you.
Yeah, if you just, you know what I mean, don't have me trying to take a sip of water out of a fire hydrant. You gotta dial it back.
Right.
You know? But that, again, that's who she is. You know, she's literal. So if something's wrong, she gonna let you know. She gonna use one of them big fancy English words to let you know. So I love that. You know, she challenges you. She challenges me to be better.
That's good.
Just be.
I love about marriage, I love having somebody to go through life with. It's
Someone to kiss.
Gosh, we are not.
Someone to miss.
We are not.
To be loved.
I do. I enjoy it. You know, I enjoy parenting with Quasi. It's just having that support and having somebody to interact with on a daily basis is really important. And I'm glad to be raising children with my husband. I know that's not the case for everybody.
Yeah, that is a blessing.
Yeah, for sure. I can only imagine
Even the
how it
people
is
who are raising kids
not.
by themselves in a marriage.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bruh,
yeah.
that gotta be crazy.
Yeah. And about Quasi, I enjoy his uniqueness. I enjoy his ability to be able to balance me because we present differently on several levels. So
Wait a minute.
your ability to that even keel I mentioned
Okay,
earlier,
okay.
right?
All right, about to start this whole podcast over.
You know, if you will, the type A people are very rigid and
Double A.
you know, very proactive and assertive, but the type B people are very laid back and relaxed. Well, I'm the type A, if you would just to simplify this, and he's the type B. And so in the middle, we meet. And because of God helping us to learn how to strengthen each other in that way, we are better.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. This is my last question for you all, and then I'm going to have you share any encouragement to anyone out there in your shoes who have experienced what you guys experienced. If there are three things you could say to your, how old were you married? I mean, how old were you? 26, and you were 26 when you got married. If you could tell 3 things to your 26-year-old self, what would they be?
You want to go first?
I'll go first because I had to type.
Yeah, I know you got notes, girl. Look at that. Number 1, hit them off.
1, I would tell my 26-year-old self that you made the right choice by centering this marriage decision around God.
Amen.
Child.
Child.
You really have that written
I
down?
did.
Yes.
And I had a comma in front of it. Number 2,
English teacher.
I would say to myself, what you think is your human control or what you think is within your human control is far overrated.
True.
Because over the years, I've had to release control. Release control. 3, this one's a little lengthy, but when trauma, strongholds, or bad patterns connected to your past confront you, because they will, avoiding them is a no-no. Because this keeps your growth stunted and is a disservice to those connected to you.
Amen. All good points.
Good job, babe.
All good points.
If I had the opportunity to go back and meet 26-year-old me, first thing I would say, and I think 26-year-old me would have known this anyway, don't listen to the noise. Don't listen to the noise and the hype. A lot of people present in marriage, a lot of men, let me go there. A lot of men present in marriage like they have sex whenever they want to, however they want to, and that's just what it is. Don't listen to the noise.
That's right.
A lot of men present like, I do what I want, when I want, because I want, because I'm the man. I'm the king of the castle. Don't listen to the noise. Because a lot of times, like Nicole was just talking about, people present outside what they think they want people to believe. And sometimes you presenting that, and the people you presenting it to know it's a clown show. They know you lying. Boy, be quiet. Be quiet. The other thing I would say to younger me would be,
Dear younger me.
oh, now you got songs. The other thing I would say is chill. Learn how to chill. The marriage is going to be sacrifice.
Yes.
Marriage is going to require sacrifice.
Ain't that the truth?
So chill. While you're sacrificing, chill. While you're celebrating, chill. I was referred to this book, The Best Salesman in the World, I think it's called. It's a really simple book, from what I've been told. I didn't read it. I ain't gonna say who recommended it. But in that book, the person that recommended it talked to me, and they were saying, you know, there's that saying, this too shall pass. And we always think this too shall pass is only negative. But good times pass too.
Wow. Wow.
Good times pass. So chill.
Sure.
Wow.
I know
That's
Nicole
good.
talked about me being even keel. But I would tell the 26-year-old me to not be surface even keel. One of my favorite movies, or one of my favorite scenes from a movie, the movie itself mightn't be one of my favorites. This coach is standing on a football field. It was middle of the night. It was it was a decompressed moment before a huge game. And the player comes on and say, "Coach, you good?" He say, "Ducks on water, baby." He say, "You ever seen a duck on water? They look real steady. But under that water, their feet are kicking like crazy." The even keel that a lot of us present, myself included at 26, was a duck on water even keel.
Wow.
So I looked real steady to everybody else. But inside, there was so much collision
Wow.
going on. I would tell my younger self to learn to be really even keel.
Really even.
That's good.
Yeah, not that surface
Like,
level.
for real.
Yeah, not the surface that people see. And you have all this inner turmoil going on. But to understand that the secret to truly being even keel is to actually let some of that turmoil out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Because and this is my science mind coming up. There is such a, like, the most stable an element is when its atoms are most chaotic.
Come on, smart.
Like when a substance in its gas form, right? Let's say you have a gas.
Or you have gas.
That's different. But let's say you have a gas. All
Gotta let it out, though.
the atoms are moving, right? But if just one atom is moving here, and this atom is still, this atom is going to start hit, and it's going to cause the next one to move. Now these two atoms are colliding, and that's when the atom itself, that's when the gas becomes stable. The gas becomes stable when all the atoms
Shut your mouth.
are moving in a randomized pattern. That's the state that the element can't be broken down further.
Whoa.
In gas, it can't go any further. Like, you have gas, solid, liquid, plasma.
I paid attention sometime
Right?
over there in the sign.
So those are your four. You have plasma, solid, liquid, gas. You could break a plasma down. You could break a solid down.
Yeah.
You could break a liquid down.
Yeah.
Gas doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
Yep.
That's the brokenest.
That's the brokenness one. All the atoms are at chaos here.
The
So
beauty of brokenness, yo.
that's what I would tell people. That's what I would tell 26-year-old me.
That's good.
Yo, it's okay.
That's good.
It's okay.
That's good.
You know? And then the last thing I would tell 26-year-old me is, I'd probably tell 26-year-old me, enjoy the work as much as you enjoy the reward. Because hard work,
That's
like,
mature.
yeah, enjoy the work. Well, that's why it's the older me talking.
Right. It's
You know,
It's mature.
nobody likes hard work when you're doing hard work.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people endure hard work thinking about the reward.
Okay.
But that's what brings regret when you don't get what you think you should get.
Okay. A lot of people,
Go ahead, be you,
they
babe.
do the hard work thinking about the reward. but that's how you get the regret.
When you don't get the reward you think you should get.
And you never enjoyed the process.
And you never enjoyed the
And
process.
what you were working for didn't turn out the way you thought it would, and so you're disappointed there too. So you missed out.
So the whole process became pointless.
Yep.
You survived the process.
Yep.
You know, everybody talks about, I'm gonna go put up all these shots and put in all these hours in the gym and lift all this weight and do all this so I can make it to be a professional basketball player. But you never enjoyed playing basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
You never had fun
Yeah.
Right.
That's
because
wow.
everybody's doing it to go pro. The NBA or overseas or here or there. So you work hard, but you're looking at this is the end game. And if I don't get that, I failed. And you don't get that, but you got all this other thing. You went to college for free.
Didn't pay attention to that.
You graduated. No college debt.
Yeah.
You met your wife. You have 4 beautiful kids or 3 beautiful kids or 1 beautiful child, or it's just you and your wife. You got this great job because of the college education, because of the basketball. And you might not be making hundreds of millions of dollars, but you're not starving.
That's good.
But you miss that whole process because every time you walk past your college jersey that they gave you, you think about, man, I could have been in the NBA. So now you regret the hard work because you think you missed something and you don't realize what you have. So I would tell the younger me, enjoy the work.
I have to think like that.
I do too. And that's a whole sermon. You need to develop a
things.
sermon about that. Like for real. Like that's for real. Like really though, like if we just really slow down and enjoy, even though we may not have everything that we may desire. And maybe something that we desire may never come to fruition, right? But let's not miss out on everything else. That's a blessing.
I have to think that way when I look at the house sometimes, and everything is not in its proper place. Everything is not cleaned up. Everything is not. I walk into the boys' room. Sometimes I act like I don't see what I see.
You gotta walk in there with your eyes closed sometimes. You about to.
But I have children. They're healthy.
Yeah.
I have a family. We have a house. We ain't been put out the house. I've resigned from working. We still ain't been put out the house.
Yeah.
So I have to think like that sometimes and enjoy the blessings of the process.
That's good.
And not expect it to be sterile and everything be in place all the time.
Yeah. Same. That's good. Well, you guys have already shared many nuggets of wisdom. Is there any other thing that you would like to say?
Come on, notes. Come on,
to married
notes.
couples that have walked through some of what you guys have walked through.
Well, you pretty much this last
pretty.
the last thing that you ma'am we used to say that as little kids. That last thing that you dropped is really what I typed here, and it said,
If I didn't like y'all, I'd have slapped this mic open when I was finished when I said that. Mic drop moment.
let God whittle life down for you
Whittle.
and show you what matters most.
Define whittle.
You know, like
Not like little with a list.
no, or the widow putty. Yeah, so
I'm just saying.
yeah, like if you take a
somebody
block
out
of
there.
wood, right? A whittler can carve away, right?
Oh, I knew the meaning. I'm just saying for somebody out there thought you got a list.
Yeah, no, whittle. It's a verb, and it means to carve away at, to reveal what's intended. So
What's intended have to have an hourglass figure though?
It does. Let God whittle life down for you and show you what matters most.
That was for the overweight one that came into the marriage with a little bit of
that person is mad at
whittle.
you. That person is mad at you.
Quasi.
There's so much.
Did you finish your statement?
Let God whittle life down for you to show you what matters most.
Absolutely.
You didn't read the last sentence.
Oh, and then keep at that with his guidance.
That's it. Yeah. Good job. Don't do the thing. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, this has been a great conversation.
No doubt.
Thanks again, y'all, for being on, and shout out you guys' business as well. for those who don't
Our
know?
business is Just Be, and our mission is to inspire people to just be who God has created them to be and just do what God has created them to do.
In all facets of life.
In all
School,
facets of life.
health, physical fitness.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. And I have on one of the hoodies. Do you have these on your website? The Enrich the Itch?
I don't. I
Oh.
don't have those on the website.
So I shouldn't.
That's
I shouldn't
okay. I mean,
advertise.
we have
You can,
other,
we- okay.
other designs, but you can follow us at Just Be on all social media
Right.
platforms. JUHSTBEE.
Yes, and it's spelled like that for a reason, y'all.
Right.
She an English. She was an English teacher, so she know what she doing.
She know
Okay.
how she could spell.
But thanks again, y'all, for being on. I appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having us.
I know
Thank
people
you
are going to
for
be
having us
blessed.
on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want you guys to like this episode. I want you to comment. Let us know something that stood out for you today. And also share this with someone so that they can be blessed as well. If you haven't yet and you feel led to do so, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, Breakthrough Conversations. In the meantime, enjoy your day and be